I hope it comes live soon because that's all I got. Dum dum dum. No? I'm going to give it to the tech team to figure out. Not there?
It shows you were there 12 minutes ago, but you're not there now.
Huh, that's weird. The past and the present intersecting. Okay, let's try this. Could you look on Facebook? I'm going to change something here. I will not fiddle very long, folks, I promise. I'm close to my last patience with this all. Okay, I'm going to turn off Facebook on here, there, and then I'm going to turn Facebook on here. Can you check Facebook?
I'm seeing you on Facebook, yes.
Live?
Yes. Oh, it just stopped.
I just turned it off. So that's working. Okay.
Facebook apparently, yes.
All right. Well,
YouTube not.
All right. So I'm going to do this. I have to go back into this. Oh boy. All right. I'm turning Facebook back on in the central control board. Then Facebook should come back on, and I'm going to leave YouTube as it is. If it works, it works. Enough.
Yes, you're up on Facebook.
And the sound seems okay, you think? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, sound is good.
Huh,
yes, you're
like
up on
that?
Facebook.
Well, there. Good morning, everyone. I am Robert Beatty. My camera's at a weird angle. I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon. And this is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community.
And you want to record before you read a poem.
Why don't you push the button? Have I anointed you yet? I don't think so.
No.
And you are now live on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's strange.
That's weird. Now my computer will crash. That's the... All right, here I go, Jim.
Recording in progress.
Recording. There's a lot of recordings that never get looked at. Maybe for the next generation. Okay. Well, it's a beautiful day here. It's not going to be super hot. I came across something I haven't looked at for a long time in my poetry collection. And while it's intended for therapists, I think it could be useful to all of us. And I don't know who did the adaptation of it. Says adapted by CSW. It's the Bodhisattva vow. May I be an advocate for those who need a voice, and a guide for those who wish to know better their own minds and hearts. May I provide healing space for those who feel stuck and tight, and containment for those who feel unmoored and adrift in confusion and pain. May I remember and respect always the autonomy and messy humanness of those with whom I sit. May I offer patience and ruthless compassion to those who fail again and again and again. May I understand the difference between offering unconditional love and enabling harm done to others, to self, or to me. May I know well my own elastic boundary and allow it to expand and contract to best meet whatever circumstances in which I find myself and those to whom I have dedicated my energy and my heart. May I help people everywhere who are hurting as well as myself. To remember to look at the sky when the sun and the moon are setting and rising. To smell the air just before it rains when the sky is swollen purple. To taste the sweetness and bitterness of every breath. To savor the touch of loved humans, animals, and even the softness of leaves and flowers and blades of grass. To listen to the humming song of cars going by on the endless road, of wind through the bare and supple branches of the trees, of the music of our own voices, speaking our truths and our pain and our healing, until every being finds their truest way of moving through the endless world. May I return to sit in solace and solidarity with any who want or need to sit with me. It's a nice song of relationship, isn't it?
Mm.
And so, as has been our custom for more than a year, I invite you to join me in hearing the beginning and ending of sounds. They come out of nowhere and disappear. Just like every breath. And so we remind ourselves of the refuge in the Buddha and being awake. Inspired by an ordinary human being 2,600 years ago, who not only found the way to freedom, but spent the next 40-some years teaching others to have the same experience. I take refuge, in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. We sit here on the living edge of life. There is absolutely no guarantee that we will be alive this evening or this afternoon or tomorrow. What should I do in that case? Perhaps I could be really alive right now. I could dare to fully incarnate. I could dare to notice that the breath that breathes me continues. And that each breath has a beginning, a rising to fullness, a decline, and then a vanishing. All we have ever is what happens now. What is happening now? Is there thinking? Is the mind obsessed with something? Is there mood there certainly is contact with the chair, with the floor, with clothing. Notice just how alive that region of the universe you take to be your hands is. Every finger is alive. We have this mysterious capacity of waking up to begin with, but also of being able to direct awareness. How about directing awareness to include the face? The face, which is also remarkably alive. Watching the show, coming nose to nose with our own mind. Fantasies arise. Memories of a past. Hopes, perhaps, or fears of a future. Liking and disliking come in waves. Sometimes we get fixated on one. we can observe the mind at the level of, is it contracted or expanded? Is this a time of easy concentration, or is it difficult to concentrate at all? Is there a mood that's filtering everything? If there are thoughts, what are the thoughts? Not to write a term paper about them, but just to notice, what are they? What is this mind on about today? And the breath, the body, the slowest changing parts of a human being. Keep time. Breathing in, breathing out. The journey inward is one that we take in a certain way completely alone. In another way, of course, we are contained and supported by our loved ones who care about us, who are capable of supporting us. We're supported by each other and by the Dharma. And the journey inward is not for the faint of heart, because everything's in there. All the fears we've buried, all the old traumas, all the advertising and conditioning around race. It's all in there. Self-hatred, fear. But what else is in there? In here. Mindfulness. Concentration. Curiosity. Tranquility. Energy. And joy. Joy on the inside, from the inside. And so we set sail on our little leather boat, our coracle. We set sail on the journey of life. Very vulnerable. Nothing but vulnerability, really. Vulnerability and a few ego defenses in the face of life. And so right here and now we have the perfect training opportunity, the perfect realization opportunity. Who am I? What is this thing I'm sitting in? Let awareness light up each breath. Each breath has a beginning, a rising to fullness, a decline, and then a vanishing. And the same is true with any sensations anywhere in the body that you touch with awareness. And of course, how loving can we be of this that lives here? I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. It's a powerful prayer. I'd like to manifest the love of the Buddha or Kuan Yin, Krishna, Jesus, Mary, whatever archetype you choose. Love that knows no limits, no yeah but attached, just open. Everything is changing, everything is impermanent. Pleasures that blossomed yesterday are unavailable today, or pain persists. Life is unfolding in some ways that are unpleasant, and so there's disliking, resistance, non-acceptance. So of course there's discomfort and pain and loss and disappointment. I aspire, or I intend, to meet all such pains and disappointments with sweet compassion. So with compassion and love and great patience, we notice that life endures. There's sitting here. Breathing in and breathing out. Wandering off, coming back. Awakening from the trance of the self. The song of I, me, mine, mine. Into the world of we and ours. Into the world of this moment without attachment to the fantasies and stories of the past. Able to see the arising of wants and needs, knowing how to act skillfully toward them, how to accept when we succeed or fail. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And let us perhaps open awareness to include the whole of the body. Perhaps to imagine that the body is inside you, that you are that which is aware of the body. And perhaps you can soften your belly, just relax. Give up any attempt to get somewhere. To notice any thoughts that come as if they were clouds in a vast blue sky. Any thoughts. Excitement, anticipation, jealousy, fear, longing, blissed outness. Let it all be inside you. Let any sounds that occur, notice where they occur actually. We could say they occur out there, but where are they known? It's always the same place. They're known by that which knows, and it's inside. Any thoughts, any sounds, the past and the future, they all exist right now. There's room for everything inside this awareness. It's always been there. And in a few moments, there will be a couple of gongs. Let's use the first one as a waker-upper. Oh, right. Oh, right. My intention is to be awake and loving and compassionate. I heard in a song last night the line from Gandhi, Be the world you want to be. Be the way the world is you want to become. You want it to become. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. May all beings everywhere discover happiness, the causes of happiness, and the path leading to happiness, true happiness. Well, dear friends, that was a good experience for me. Nice to be with you. And we have a few announcements. One from Kat that I hope I can hear. Would you take it away, Kat, please?
About the survey?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay, sure. I thought you were going to do it, so I wasn't totally prepared, but I'm happy to share about it.
Wait, stop. We, from our diversity, equity, and inclusivity team, those of us that are kind of coalescing the ideas for the community, one of the ideas was Kat's idea actually, was to poll the community and see what your ideas are and what your awareness is. And so she's done an incredible job of creating. It's actually even visually attractive. It's kind of weird for such a thing, but Kat works in this realm, and she's created a beautiful poll that I want her now to speak about. There.
Thank you. I'm honored. So we created a survey to the community, first and foremost, to get to know who you are and how you identify on many different levels involving diversity in terms of race, sexual orientation, gender identity, abilities. This is just a great way for us to sort of learn who all of you are beyond just your box on a screen, how you identify and how you move through the world beyond our 45 minutes in the morning. As well as that, we want to be working as a community with our community very much to be embodying the ideals of inclusivity, not the ideals, also the realities of inclusivity and belonging in this community. And to do that, we really need the support, but also the help and ideas and understanding of the community. So we created a survey. It shouldn't take more than about 7 to 10 minutes to take. The more people who take it, the more we can interpret the data that comes from it and help know what is important to you, what directions you want our community to be going, what priorities we as a committee should be making in terms of diversity, equity, and belonging. So we will be sending it out in the next few days. Please, 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 please take it. It is really incredibly helpful. The more numbers we have, the more we can do with it. So we will try not to hammer it too much to take it. So please take it the first time. And it'll kind of be like an NPR thing. The more people who take it early, the less we'll have to talk about it. So it would be wonderful to have your participation, and then we can return to the beautiful classical music of the refuges. So thank you.
How will it be sent out?
Great question, Tim. It'll be sent out through our email list, through the listserv. We'll be putting the link, it's open, so we can put the link just in our chat as well. And it should be sent out the next few weeks in our PIMC digest as well.
And it will be in one of the top boxes on the website. So if you're on the connections list, that's kind of the community back and forth list, you'll get it there. And if you're on the announcement list, which is called Constant Contact, you'll get it from there too. And all the teachers will be talking about it. And that's a great idea to put it in the chat. You want to just do that now, Kat? We could launch. This would be the launch.
I know. I got really excited. I'm like, okay, let's just go for it. I'll find it. Yeah.
As you do that, I'm going to do this. Introducing.
It'll take me longer than that, so maybe move on with your announcements.
I'll just continue.
Oh no, please don't.
All right. I did count 5 pleases when you asked for it, so I'm going to mirror that. Please, 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 please. Help us. Belong. Participate in this. It's really a deep heart longing. So that's that. Other announcement, Candle is on this evening, 6:30, teaching every second Sunday night. Jim, are you doing something soon? I forget.
Yes, sir. I am doing my Qigong on the next Saturday, the 24th. And just this month, it's the 4th Saturday. And I'll go back to the 3rd Saturday from now on until something else interrupts. But at any rate, 24th is Saturday. It runs from 9 till 2. We will be listening to poetry, sitting, and moving. So you're invited to join me.
Thanks, Jim. You will find, there's the link from Kat. You will also find a link. This is my NPR moment. They'll know I'm not going to do it that way at all. We're doing something really important here. Not just here in these gatherings, but the whole adventure of PIMC. What a pain in the butt it's been to get ramps and to get the bathrooms fixed and to get set up for the next phase, the seismic renewal of the building. It's been endless. It looks like we're within a day or two of the city saying, yes, we'll have the permits in hand, and then there's a 2-week period. It's like a cooling off period or something. But then, however, as soon as we get the yes, the contractor will start signing the subs up to do their bit of the process. So we'll then know at least the intended opening date, which will be in October. It can't be before October, given the building. Someone tuned me in this morning for just a few moments on Portland Friends of the Dhamma. John Passano is there today, and they're meeting in their hall. And it made me a little jealous. It's like, geez, if we weren't doing this. Part of the plan was to get the building done before we could go back in. But anyway, not to be too long-winded about that. But it's important. And it's not something that somebody else is doing. We're doing it. PIMC is yours. You own the building. It's a nonprofit. So anytime you make a contribution to PIMC, you're contributing to life. And if you have found, as I did, and as I've heard from so many people, if you have found that the Dharma has brought some sanity into your life, maybe been a lifesaver even, why not contribute something regularly on maybe a monthly basis to the center so that it thrives? We have a lot of financial need right now. The project has come in, of course, significantly over budget. We don't know yet, but they're working on the final numbers, and there will be now an alarm system in the building. So you pull the little lever down, and then the alarm goes off. And that's, I don't know. They said at first 12,000, and now it's more like 20. So we're building something of enormous importance. I guess that's the thing that's become clearer to me in a certain way than ever before. And we're building it for our descendants, not just for us. Presuming human life continues, and that the culture isn't utterly disrupted. Having a center where people can practice for our children and grandchildren will be really important. There's so much insanity. So there, that's what I wanted to say. I guess one more thing that needs to be more part of our regular Dana request, which is please consider making a bequest to PIMC in your will. And if you don't have a will, I encourage you strongly, do a will. They can be done very simply. You get a form online. Because if you don't do it, then the state does it, and they're not very nice about it. So there, Mr. Dalton, would you like to do some dance this morning?
Certainly. I'm always ready. Well, so far. If you'd like to join me, we'll find a little space in our contemplative retreats. This is a crowded office on my end, but we'll make it work. So the idea of mindful movement is to become aware of the present moment in this body, in this moving body. It's never really still. We stand and change the shape of the body, and immediately we start adjusting. It might be better if I lean more this way. It might be better if I lean more that way. Or tilt forward or tilt back, or lift one shoulder or lift the other shoulder. We're always searching for something better. But for just a moment, let's just relax into standing. Being aware of the whole body standing, the feet on the floor, the knees kind of soft and ready to move, the pelvic platform pretty stable. Thank you for making me the spotlight. And so with this whole body moving, there's an intelligence that unifies it. So we can decide we're going to open to the right side and lift our arm all the way up overhead. So we're reaching up with the right arm and relaxing the left arm. So there's agency, there's effort, a subtle effort. It's not a huge effort. There's an effort moving upward on one arm, and then there's relaxation. Bring your awareness into that relaxation, and then move the awareness into the extended arm. We have this plasticity of awareness. It can be shifted quickly and precisely. And then letting that upward arm float down, little by little, noticing each change in the effort required to keep it in place until the effort evaporates and the arm is just hanging quietly at the side. Turn the palms up and bring the hands up along the front of the body like you're lifting something up till you get to your chest, and then turn over and press upward overhead with your palms towards the ceiling, towards the sky. There's a certain amount of agency required in both arms. Feel what that's like. Both arms are extended to the sky. Then we turn the hands, soften the wrists, soften the elbows, soften the shoulders, and start drifting down. Less and less effort required. Little by little, the agency dissolves. We can move out to the side, opening the hands away from each other to either side, turning the palms up, bringing the hands together, touching, pointing upward from an extended stretch upward, and feel that agency and feel that effort to stretch and push towards the sky with the hands, the palms touching each other. And then again, relax, turn the palms down, let the arms float down, noticing each shift in effort. Dissolving, dissolving, dissolving. Come back to our attention in the bottoms of the feet. They're probably pretty similar. Step out to one side and shift the weight forward. Move back, shift the weight back to the leg behind. Just moving forward and moving backward is, we intend to move, and then there's a subtle effort to drive forward, to pull back. Moving the hips forward, engages one leg more than the other. Pulling back, engages the back leg more than the other. Lift the hands in front of the chest with the palms forward, and then shift the weight and extend the arms. Turn the wrists and pull in while you shift the weight back. So suddenly there's this symphony of sensations. Sensations in the knee, in the hip, in the rib cage as we breathe, in the hands, in the elbows, in the shoulders as we push and then gently pull. The weight settling into one leg, releasing forward, settling into the other. Just a simple motion, but it's all organized by this incredible intelligence in the body. We work together. The head stays above the tailbone. There's a poise and a dignity in the spine, and a gentle push-pull gesture in the hands, the arms. And we know it's happening right now. Here now, it's moving backwards. Here now, it's moving forward. We don't have to say the words. We feel it. Drifting back to the center, stepping out to the other side. There's a whole river of sensations moving forward, drawing back. Sensations in the upper arms, in the fingertips, down in the knee, back into the heel of the back foot. Here now, sensations and knowing sensation, knowing how it's changing. We can link the breath to it and exhale as we move forward. Inhale as we pull back. Mindful of the whole body breathing out and in. Once more, breathing out as we extend forward, drawing in and bringing the breath in, moving the feet so they're parallel underneath the hips, relaxing the arms, feeling the relaxation, the release in the shoulders and the upper arms, the lower arms and the hands. What's happening with the fingers? So aware of a body at peace and still, and then when time is appropriate and more energy is needed and more activity is required in our experience, and sink and open the arms to the side, lifting up overhead and then just drifting down again, exhaling down, breathing in as you lift out and up, come to the center and follow the center line down, both hands, palms down. We do this for several cycles, and the whole mood changes. All that peace and all that stillness is converted into determination and activity and dynamic liveliness. The mood changes. I can't find the words that fit exactly, but for each of us, it'll be different. Energized movement. Repeated, round and smooth, so there's no discomfort, no resistance, no holding. It's a flowing movement, but it's a lot bigger, and the mood changes. So the connection between the feelings and the body and the mood and the ideas. We may have an image of a tree reaching out its branches and leaves to the sun, absorbing energy, pulling it in, putting it to work. Lifting again, Releasing down and then pausing. Standing like a tree, we'll bring the elbows out away from the body a little bit and allow the lungs to fill completely with each breath. Our arms aren't unconsciously pulling in, protecting the middle of the body. We're moving the elbows out a little bit, trusting to the space around us to accept a larger rib cage, filling the rib cage. The space opens up, makes room. Then when we need to exhale, the space doesn't crush us, it just lets us relax. So we dance with the space around us, aware of the space within the body, filling, and then releasing. Then we can bring the right hand in front of the belly button, palm up, rest the left hand inside the right like a bird coming to rest in a nest. Take a few breaths. Appreciating the quiet and the stillness and the balance of the body. And the awareness of a standing form, healthy and strong enough to do a little Qigong on a Sunday morning. We have gratitude in our hearts and gratitude to all of our friends that join us. We're all healing together. We've dispensed with some of the toxins in our body with just these few simple movements. The healing can be shared with everybody online with us. Thank you very much. I'll see you on Saturday for more healing. For me and Dee, take care.
Oops. All right. Let's see. Somehow or another. Hello, Jim. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tim? Ha. Well, that's weird. There. Ooh, I'm huge. Can you hear me, please? Yes, okay.
Yes, indeed.
It looks like I can be heard over there, too. Trouble is, I can hear me. What if I turned that off? Oh, that worked. Okay. There's another announcement-y sort of thing that some of you will take some delight in. There is a move afoot to create a gathering in a park close to PIMC soon, a picnic, a community picnic. And Jim, can I delegate you for people to contact?
Yeah, I'll put my
hang on, I gotta put these on
email in the chat. And yes, there's a couple people that have contacted me about having a picnic soon.
Turn these on. Jim, I didn't hear you.
I'm just putting my name, my email in the chat, and
I can't. Jesus.
we'll start gathering interest right here.
Oh dear, this is really ridiculous. Oh well, I'm going to presume that was okay, and you said something.
Okay.
This is very, very frustrating, and I'm quite.
All right.
External headphones. What if I put this over here? Oh, that looks good. Hello, Jim.
All right. Are you still testing your sound?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. Take that off. Yesterday morning, we had a teachers' council meeting scheduled to start at 9. Two of the teachers were involved in major family issues, life and death. Gregory and Doyle, dealing with extended family issues. So 4 of us gathered at my home, just over here. The night was a beautiful spot. And Gary was planning to Zoom in from LA. Simple setup, you'd think. I've done it hundreds of times. The sound wouldn't work. I've conditioned myself to be really patient with these things. And I had an experience of impatience, such that I saw myself taking my computer and simply smashing it on the cement. And there's a sledgehammer relatively nearby, and the image also included that. There was so much anger. As I talk about it now, there's a little rush of sadness. It's been so frustrating. And I didn't act out. I think I got a little irritable externally. And we got it to work, sort of. But it wasn't clean and easy and easy and easy and easy. That's interesting. It's happened. Can you hear me now, Jim?
I can hear you, but you went into a loop for a while.
Well, and the other broadcast. No, it's happening right here. Oh, no, and there's no video. Oh, here we go. There I am, but it's the other camera. Hi.
It's a different camera.
It's the camera on the computer. Hang on, I'm going to see if I can change that back. But, oh, that's interesting. I think, well, what the hell? I'll just see if I can get it back. Huh. Preferences. Video. HD. There's this back. This is the very thing. Get rid of this. Redo this. Do this. Push this. Export that. There we go. Well, that's a good example of it.
This makes me think of Gremlins in Ireland.
Well, if it's a marvelous example of the dukkha of daily life. And how do we respond to it? What karmic seeds do we plant? And so what I think the theme is that I want to speak to today is we're heading back into lives that are more engaged in some ways. I know I've spoken with several people who are surprised by their responses and reactions to going back into the daily life journey. Some who don't want to go out of their houses much. I have a couple of friends who are therapists who have decided that they're not going to go back to owning an office, that they're going to continue to work only online. I can't imagine doing that. While this is remarkable, being in the presence of another person is actually a much more profound, richer experience for me. So I invite you to think about how you're responding to the opening up that's happening. Actually, last night, Jennifer and I went to is it Centennial Park? Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the park. How silly. The one that's up under the St. John's Bridge. There's a jazz festival there that's happened for something like 40 years. It's a beautiful amphitheater, but filled with people. It was a lot of stimulation. A lot of stimulation. Interesting. So, let's say one is very diligent about one's practice. And at every day, sometime during the day, when your energy is really good, you take an hour to sit. That's for the slackers. I know most of you are doing a couple of hours, or you take half an hour to sit, and you do it really regularly. Or you take 15 minutes and you stop. That leaves a lot of hours in a day in which to practice that one can not pay attention to, or one can get very curious. So, among the practices that prepare us for daily life practice are things like walking meditation. To do 5 minutes of walking practice in a formal sense, back and forth, lifting, moving, placing, or more than that, maybe half an hour sometimes. And then there's the dedicating of the moment, remembering to dedicate in the moment, and then using, what's that word? I've forgotten the word right now. It's escaped me. A clear comprehension. noticing what is it I'm actually doing. Is it a suitable object of meditation? How can I make it a suitable object of meditation? And does my observation of it have to do with awakening? And how can I apply the Dharma to this? And the image that I have in mind as I'm saying this is loading the dishwasher. I had the great good fortune a long time ago. I did a 2-month retreat where was at a smallish meditation center, small actually. For the first 10 days I was alone in practice, then a fellow came and then he was there 10 days and then I did 10 more days after him and then another month. And for all that time I did the dishes for 12 people in the sink. 3 meals a day. That was my yogi job. And I like doing dishes since then. In fact, I've scored good son-in-law, partner, husband. I've scored incredibly good points on many a Thanksgiving. When back in my first marriage, where the kids came into the play, there were 2 people, my mother-in-law and her brother, both of who were very hard of hearing, and they would sit in the living room and yell at each other. And the whole tone went up there, and I would be in the kitchen. I could see them through a window, and I'd be in the kitchen being, quote, heroic, doing this: lifting, moving, rinsing, placing, reaching, doing a concentration practice on loading the dishwasher, which was very satisfying. And sometimes following that, I would clean off the turkey and start to make a turkey soup. And this is seen as a very diligent thing. Actually, it's a marvelous way to practice. And there's another way. When you walk to your car, you're about to take on a huge responsibility. Perhaps you could walk mindfully. Perhaps the very picking up of the key. Where's my key? Here's my keys. I remember distantly when I was a kid and didn't have these keys. Actually, I was 20 years old before I got my license. My father disapproved, so it was only when my aunt came and really gave it to him that he let me get my license. City buses were I rode the city bus a lot in Montreal. Very extensive system, though. So, driving. When you get in the car, stop. Enjoy that blasting heat that's in there for a little bit. Notice liking or disliking. And then driving can be such an active, mindful process. So much is happening. I'm not particularly a speedy driver, but several years ago, I got 4 speeding tickets in the course of 4 months or something. 2 of them on the same hill by PIMC, great speed trap. But anyway, I decided to go to a driver's ed class rather than lose my license for a month. And I'm really glad I did, because I learned several things. And they did it very well. There were a lot of people there. 2 guys, one a driving instructor of many years and one a policeman of many years. And they said, our job here is not to shame you, but we have a goal, which is to lower the number of fatalities on the roads in Portland. And the things that I learned that really stuck, that are really a great mindfulness practice, it had never occurred to me. When you're following another driver, the safe distance is 4 seconds. On a freeway, that's more than 100 yards. On city streets, it's twice as far as you think. And that's the single most effective thing we can do to not hurt ourselves and somebody else. And then that's a mindfulness practice. And what you wind up doing is just backing up. Someone asked the question, what do you do when someone's really tight on your tail? And the police officer said, well, you stomp on the brake. No, that's not right. All you pay attention to is the space between you and the car in front of you. Because then you'll have time to slow down, and the person behind you is responsible for themselves. You can't affect them. So 4 seconds. Once you start driving like that, it gets scary when you ride with other people because you realize that you're on the edge of death at any second. Because people drive often within a second or two. And then the other very interesting one for mindfulness in daily life and driving is when you're approaching a green light, 4 seconds from the light, you put your foot on the brake. You don't press the brake, but you're ready in case someone runs a red light. And 2 seconds from the light, you put your foot back on the gas in case someone's going to run the light and you need to outrun them. Now that's interesting mindfulness practice. And then one can watch as you approach an intersection. There's anxiety in driving. And you know how your eyes will dart up the street to see is there a car coming, and you start watching what is happening and what data is flowing in, and it becomes really a very fascinating practice, which means then that time of driving to work or whatever, wherever you're going to the mall, is really part of your direct spiritual practice. Preparing food. Under the influence of one of our members here at the middle of the COVID time, I bought a really fine Japanese knife. I forget the name of it now, but it's really a nice knife. And one can chop vegetables with it with great ease. And that's another place, a wonderful place for mindfulness. How is it to take a whole carrot, maybe you've peeled it, and then turn it into 30 or 40 thin pieces? Each one of those can be a moment of real presence. So one of the strategies is find something which you can make your primary object. If you're walking or running, exercising, pay attention to the breath. Or if you're on some kind of a machine, notice your hand moving and coming back and moving and coming back. Notice where the mind goes. Notice what's happening. And I often mention these, but I'm going to do them in perhaps a little more depth. Many of us, probably not all of us on this broadcast, but many, have our own bathroom, maybe shared with another family member or two. But we actually have running hot water. Talk about privilege. We have running hot water, and so on a regular basis, we step into hot water. Maybe it's a bath. Maybe it's a shower. It takes time to adjust the knobs. And then when we get in the shower, often there's another adjustment. It's just a shade too cold or a shade too hot. How do we know that? And then we adjust it just right. And then we get to do things like wash our hair. This can all be done, particularly if we slow down a little bit, though that's not essential. It can be done with so much awareness. When washing one's hair, one is washing one's hair. Eat wood, chop wood, carry water. There's a couple of other rituals that are observational moments, I guess, that I practice routinely. And it began way back in 80 something, when I went to Burma. Oh, 79. It was 79. When I went to Burma for a week with Tongpulu Sayadaw. Among the things he asked me every day was, did you go to sleep on an in-breath or an out-breath? Did you wake up on an in-breath or an out-breath? Another way he could have put it was, how continuous is your meditation? Does it start in that first moment when consciousness returns to the sleeping form? What's the mood present when you wake up? We can wake up in any state. Whoa, I just remembered a dream that I had this morning that totally escaped me. It had to do with my father, who's been dead a long time. And it was somehow the left bottom corner of the mattress, and I needed to hold on to it or I would lose him. How do you like that? And then he slipped away. I'm going to return to that after we're finished here. Whoa. Something like that could affect one's consciousness all day. So then you're awake and maybe you're lying in bed. Maybe you do a body scan. And then there's the impulse to get out of bed. Does it happen when the alarm goes off? Does it happen spontaneously? What's in your mind as you get out of bed? What about that moment when your feet first hit the floor? In my case, seeing how my right hip and low back are. Oh, it's a morning of stiffer than usual. Or it's a moment of ease. So then there's walking down the hall, going to the bathroom, toilet functions. And then there's making coffee. So I'm sure you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just describing the events that we all experience, parts of them anyway. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I can make the whole day much more conscious. And also simply forgetting when we forget, or remembering when we forget. You're driving down the freeway and you've gone 3 miles and you've been out to lunch. Most cars driving on the freeway are being driven by robots. There's no awareness there. There's kind of like functional awareness, but there isn't self-reflection. So I think that's what I want to say, and maybe to invite you to make any comments about how is your transition to being more engaged with the world going, and do you have anything to share about it? Thank you for listening to that. And I'm going to go in here and hope I can hear you.
Robert, it's Joan.
Hi, Joan.
I just realized before you started talking, I wrote when I heard you mention the picnic, my anxiety about what's happening with the, can you hear me?
Yeah, fine.
My anxiety about being together with other people in a close setting, and the fact that many places now are going back to being masked because the numbers are going up. And then you started talking. You were talking about exactly what I was feeling. It's really hard for me to get reconnected because I feel such anxiety that this is all going to come back and hit us again.
Yes, and it may. We don't know.
So do we just continue on as if we shouldn't worry about it and go to picnics and do things like that?
I don't know. I know I am engaging fully. I carry a mask, and I will use it in confined spaces. I'm not very concerned for myself because I am fully vaccinated, and statistically, my chances of getting sick are very slight, and of dying next to negligible. I mean, this. Do you know the story of the woman who became obsessed with RNA?
Yes.
I can't remember her name. It's if you want to know about her, you could go to, there's a podcast called The Daily from the New York Times. They told the story of her life. There's a woman who was born in some Eastern European country who kept getting knocked down. I mean, just not supported. But she decided she wanted to work in science and in biochemistry. And she got this wild idea that messenger RNA could be used to bring vaccines into the heart of viruses, of the immune system. And it's the story of her life and how this intuition, drove her. And she came to America finally, and she got into a lab where she could do the work, and it was being very successful. And then funding was cut, and she went on to another place and another place. And in the end, her persistence is what made this messenger RNA technique available exactly when it was needed to deal with the coronavirus. She's like, I don't know, like Banting, or she's incredible. She's a messenger. Anyway, I have so much respect for her, and for the mystery that had her become obsessed with it. Because had she not, it would be a totally different world right now. But anyway,
Robert,
go ahead.
there's also the story about the woman who discovered coronaviruses, which is very similar because she discovered them in 1968 and women, the whole field of microbiology and that kind of thing was incredibly misogynistic, and they wouldn't have listened to her for years and years. It's a very similar story.
Isn't that amazing? Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that John Gottman said in terms of making our relationships work better, it's receiving influence from women. So these are two cases where that was life-saving for millions. So anyway, in terms of events, I don't think I'm going to get sick. So I'm quite willing to enter in. But I certainly, I am sympathetic, Joan, with your hesitancy.
And I'm not even so concerned about myself. I think I feel like if everybody who came is vaccinated, I would be perfectly happy to come.
Yeah.
But I somehow want to punish or do something to those who won't get vaccinated.
Ah, now that's a different story altogether.
Right.
That's a different kind. So why do you want to punish? What are you aware of in yourself?
Well, they're making me anxious because if they're not vaccinated, they may get sick and they may make somebody I love get sick. It's just creating more anxiety for me.
So can I push you a little bit here?
Sure.
Are they creating the anxiety, or is your conditioning creating the anxiety?
My conditioning.
So they're offering you an opportunity to relinquish that and let them have their own life.
Hard to do as a Jewish mother.
Oh, it's your mother?
I said, no, it's hard to do that as a Jewish mother.
Oh, as a Jewish.
Let them have their own life.
Oh, that got me. That's funny. I think it's hard to do as a Buddhist father too, for that matter. They do insist on having their own life, don't they? The children. It's really. Yeah, but I think it's huge, and I'm funny. I'm reflecting, not too surprisingly, on the first of the 12 steps. I came to believe. I came to really accept that I was powerless over those people who won't get vaccinated. Right? I came to believe that I was powerless over whatever my addiction or compulsion is. That some things are really out of my control, and whether people get vaccinated or not is. I think at least, and this probably I could be punished for this, but at least at this point, the virus is attacking people who are unwilling to get vaccinated rather than people who've done everything they can. Though the people who are not wanting to get vaccinated are me, simply having listened to different people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just in a different information bubble, and it's a terrible thing. But one can have compassion for them too. It's like, how did they get these beliefs? How have so many people been conditioned to have beliefs that are killing them and their children?
And they are affecting us because all of a sudden things are going back into lockdown.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So sometimes other people's unconscious behaviors, or often, I guess, unconscious behaviors have a huge impact on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, will you be going out, do you think?
Well, I've been doing lunches like outside in open areas, but not inside restaurants, or going out to dinner and going to outside locations. Mm-hmm. But just because of the fact that all of a sudden I'm starting to hear about, I think it's California that's going back to masking throughout in and out. I'm beginning to say, oh, I thought this was over. I thought we were finally going to be able to get back to resuming our life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm aware in myself of some fear of that. A lot of my selfish concern is I really want to teach my retreat at Hollyhock, which has 35 people signed up. And if I can't get across the border, there won't be a retreat. Right now, I can get across the border as a Canadian. I'm a dual national. As a Canadian, I could enter Canada, and I'd have to get a COVID test, a negative test before I go, and then they do another one at the airport that I would then have to report on a few days later when I came in or whenever it is. But that could change. That could change really easily. And I have quite a lot of sadness about this. I have followed the story, the plight of those refugees who have landed on the islands in Greece, and where they outnumber the people who lived there before, and where the living conditions are horrendous. And they're hoping for the border to open. They're hoping to be able to move, to go west into Europe and land, and they're mommies and daddies with kids, and they're just ordinary people who come from Syria, the millions of people that have been displaced by the wars. So when I remember, here I am worrying, not so much worrying, but hoping that I get to do what I want to do and cross the border. Oh, and I think about the southern border. Right? Those are real people. They're just like us. Born on the other side of a line. And dare I say this, I'm going to. I really think it behooves us to practice deeply to be able to deal with very difficult circumstances. Because it's getting hot down south. It's getting really hot in those countries just south of Mexico. There's going to be a lot of people coming north. As the water runs out in the Colorado River, there's going to be a lot of Americans moving north. So I think practicing deeply really makes sense. So that we're compassionate and loving and can handle what comes. Maybe another lockdown or two. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you. May we all be safe.
Oh, yes. I'm not proposing that we go and be morose. I'm going back to the concert this afternoon and evening, living fully when we have the chance. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Robert.
Hello, someone.
Hi.
Where are you? Wave, would you?
Pink.
I can't see you somehow.
I have my Tinkerbell shirt on. Anyway.
Oh, there you are. I got you.
Yes.
I found you. Thank you.
See Tinkerbell?
Yeah.
Okay. Following what Joan was saying, I personally feel less guilty if I were feeling fear and trepidation, but the more not to get vaccinated, and I know people from childhood who do it with great sense of victory and ha-ha, and just I won't even say what they're really thinking about the rest of us, and it makes me really angry, and that's putting it nicely. And so what I'm feeling is just when I was able to probably hide from that rage he evoked because they're killing people, here they are again. And so I struggle with this all the time, and I know it's reflecting whatever rage I feel inside, but rage really is the word. Anything else, I'm just lying.
So can I challenge one thing in what you just said?
Anything.
I don't think we know what other people are thinking.
Even if they tell you?
Oh, if they tell you, you got a better chance. Yeah, I thought you were generalizing.
Well, I probably am generalizing past what I'm told by a few people. They're kind of reflecting what you then hear.
I see.
That you're hearing on the news. I'm hearing it all on the phone first. I basically eliminated that, but I still know that's what
I see.
Happening. And I'll give you a very specific. And I know I feel I'm bringing this up at kind of a risk because I don't think, I'm not proud of it. this whole idea of, oh, sure, we're going to, like, we're really going to pay attention. And when they say, don't do this if you haven't been vaccinated, haha, you know. And not only that, we can get it online, get false vaccination things. So the point, though, is my rage. It's not really what they're doing or not doing. And so that's what I'm being risky bringing up.
Well, I was pretty close to rage yesterday morning after my computer wouldn't work after an hour. It was very, I mean, I think images of smashing my computer on the ground are pretty rageful. So that's a natural thing for us humans to feel. And it's one of the central roots of suffering: greed, hatred, and ignorance, and delusion. And so when that starts flowering, what to do? I just remembered a profound rage story in my own life. I was on retreat in India for a while in Bodh Gaya, and I was staying in a place where pilgrims came to stay, poor pilgrims. And there was a well with a chain, a bucket and a chain. And it was very quaint, and I really loved watching, and I'd just sit there very quietly. People would come out, and they'd lower the bucket, and they'd bring it up, and they'd have their water and talk, and it was fine. And then one day, it started to piss me off. And I was sitting in my little concrete house, which was about 40 feet or 50, oh, more than that, 100 feet from the well. And I couldn't see it. It didn't have windows, this little box. And I was sitting in meditation, and I got more and more angry. And I was sitting silent. No, from the outside, no one would have seen anything. But this rage started, and these images, I had images of going out with an assault rifle and literally blowing people apart, and of using a machete and hacking people. And these visions were so real. They were just horrendous, and pushing people down the well, and my temperature rose, and I broke into a complete sweat. And I was very curious. I was like, God, I wish I had a thermometer, because I would like to know if my actual temperature is higher. But it went on for some minutes, a long time. And I just sat there, awake to it. And then it subsided. It went away. And it was an encounter with that in myself that was of very great importance. Partly because I discovered that I could have an arising of such a thing, a volcano, and see it as phenomena rather than something I had to act on, or even feel bad about. It's just the conditioning in this organism that led to rage in that moment, and no karmic action. Well, the karmic action that came out of it was extreme mindfulness. So I would encourage you to to criticize yourself because you have that rage is another level of hatred. You know, you shouldn't have this, you bad girl. And I say girl because it's often we're dealing with the child component. And it's hard. And particularly, you know, when you have family members on the line, or this thing that's happening in our culture, this lie, this horrendous lie that's being perpetrated. And dare I say this? I'm going to. It's presented as if there were something on the left which is equally potent and destructive. And I don't think there is. There's some. But it's been 30 or 40 years in the making, this distrust of the government and unwillingness to pay taxes and so on. And it's manifesting as something really dangerous. Mm-hmm. And so what to do with that? Well, maybe become involved politically, maybe do whatever you do there. But internally, how do I learn to live peacefully when there's this kind of horror happening? And when the future is scary? Well, I can dwell in the future a lot, or I can dwell in the future very little. Thanks for sharing, Eileen.
Thank you.
You'll need to mute, Eileen. There we go. Thanks. You know, at the time of his death, at 82 or so, the Buddha was on the road going somewhere that we don't know, with a small group of monks. And there was a war going on. He was traveling through a war zone. And he was mindful. And that's when he died. He died he stayed with King Bimbisara for decades. And then Bimbisara's son decided it was time to kill the old man and take over, and he did. And he didn't like the Buddha, so the Buddha was kicked out. Hit the road, buddy. And he died of food poisoning or something else, some gut thing, on the road. So we're all on the road. And the times are always difficult. So how do we practice and become more loving, despite the fact that this is not a Disney fairy tale world, but it's a world with quite a shadow, where there's sickness, old age, decay, and death, where there's political instability. We humans have always been in uproar about how to govern ourselves. Oh dear. Another thing I probably shouldn't say, but one so often hears in America that this is the greatest discovery of democracy. There are some pretty powerful democracies around the world. This isn't the only one. Jonas, I see you waving.
I am. Yeah, actually, we're 58th in the list of democracies, just so you would know. 22nd in healthcare. Number 1 in infant mortality. Actually, it's interesting what you're talking about today, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about it from a neurophysiological sense. In actually the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. I know that sounds really strange to approach practice from that arena. But what I've been looking at is that, someone pointed out, you could cut the sympathetic nervous system and survive. And the parasympathetic, which would leave you in a state of calm and happiness and fulfillment. But if you cut the parasympathetic nervous system, you die. So that really the normal state of humanity, the normal state of who we are, is what practice is to bring us to. It is that we are striving to achieve happiness, not flight, fight, or fear, or freeze,
Mm.
which is the sympathetic nervous system. But unfortunately, what everybody's talking about, the sympathetic nervous system allows you to be aware of who you are as an individual. Does that make sense? As opposed to, I'm sorry, what, Robert?
Yes, go ahead.
Anyway, so it makes you alive, because that is, it takes you out of being at one with everything around you,
Mm.
and allows you to be that singularity. But the parasympathetic nervous system allows you to be at one with everything and to experience the oneness of everything, because that's the truth of life. And really, that's what we're striving for. I'm going to cry. I'm thinking about it, because I've been thinking about this for days. But that's the place that we're striving to be. And the reality is that, the Buddha points out, the truth is, it's not that difficult. It's walking, sitting, lying down, and standing. And you can be at peace and at ease in all of those things. And it's something you pointed out to me, and I shared it with a friend of mine. And that is, if you are in rage, see where you hold your rage within you. There's a physical place. And then you can analyze it and bring yourself back to that calm parasympathetic. That's just what I've been working with these days.
Thank you, Jonas. I worked in biofeedback for quite a few years, and it's true that we can learn relatively easily to calm the sympathetic nervous system, to calm the arousal. And in 15 or 20 minutes to really shift into a parasympathetic position, which is where healing and insight and such things occur. So thank you. How are we doing for time? Oh my goodness, it's already 12:15. Well, anybody else have anything you'd like to share before we make the big leap to hyperspace? I do look forward to being together in person with those of you that can. I have practiced a lot of patience with this city building permit process. So many delays. Yeah. However, soon there will be building construction. We just have to cross our fingers they don't discover something really weird on the way that will result in more. Well, Let's go out with a song. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It's kind of a strange thing to do a chant in a foreign language. A little artifact of the history, I guess, where this comes from. So have a fine, mindful day, my friends. See you tomorrow morning, if you're one of the early risers, at 7 Pacific Daylight Time.
7?
Thank you, Robert.
Adios. Thank you,
Thank
David.
you, Robert.
Goodbye,
Namaste.
Joan and
Thank
Michael.
you.
Thank you, Robert.
Goodbye, Roseanne and Laura and Kath and Eric and Christopher. Just Eric. Hi.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Robert. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sangha. Be well, everyone.
Bye.
For a wonderful morning.
Goodbye, Cricket.
Have a great day.
Goodbye, Sherry. How are things up in Quadra?
Walking along.
Yeah.
And one baby eagle is hanging on to the nest, hanging on to the tree and begging for food.
So it's a teenager who refuses to move out.
Yes.
Well, it'll fall off the tree. Are the parents still feeding it? They must be.
Yes.
So they're feeding it with resentment and thinking, Christ, I wish she'd get a job. Or oh well. That little fledgling will fly, I bet. Hello, Michael.
Hey,
Michael
Robert.
and hi. Who's your pal?
This is Robert. This is my son Brady. Talked to
Hello,
you about
Brady.
it a couple of times. Yeah. He is listening in with us today.
Well, great. What do you think, Brady? I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to be.
You like the talk?
No, I won't force you.
That's okay.
No tyranny of the group here.
This is his yes.
Ah, good.
Yes.
Well, I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Nice to see you. Bye.
Goodbye, Pam, and goodbye, Cameron. And goodbye, Sherry. Have a good day. Mwah. End meeting. Hello, Pam. Making the leap to hyperspace.